Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I just wanted to chop it up with you guys about my first year as an MSW student. Now, for some of you that may or may not know, I am currently enrolled at the University of Toronto for their Master of Social Work program. And I wanted to come back and drop a video like I said I would 3 months ago. I'm so sorry. Listen, I just have to say that I tip my hat to content creators that can produce amazing, dope, quality content for their audience and still balance a million other things in their real life. Like, this shit isn't easy. It's not easy, and my management of this stuff clearly hasn't been the greatest, okay? But, doing content and then, working full time and going to school full time and being in practicum is a lot. So I apologize for the huge delay, but I'm back, I'm here, and I promise you I'm going to continue to drop content.
I'm not going to promise like when, I'm not going to give you guys dates.
But I mean, if you subscribe to the channel, you'll get it. You'll get the updates, okay? So first off, I just want to give you guys a shout out for still rocking with me. And, a few comments that I got on my previous video is really what propelled me to get behind this camera and do this video for you guys, because I said I would. And one of the reasons why I was compelled to really, talk about this experience is because when I was looking for YouTube reviews or people that had, kind of gone through this program that are racialized or Black, I couldn't come across any of those videos for this particular program at this particular school. So that was one of the main reasons why I was like, yo, let me just get some information out there because people might want to know. Okay, so this particular term, I took 3 courses. So I took individuals and families, communities and organization, and research, evidence-based research for social work. So those are the 3 classes that I took. And this particular term, we had to do placement or practicum throughout. Now, in those particular courses, I want to say that the readings did not diminish. If you watch my previous video about the first term, you understand where I'm going with this. The readings are still insane, okay? There's a lot of readings, but I think the great thing about, U of T, or I guess just school in general, and some of my peers and these courses, is that we created a really dope way of trying to keep on top of these readings by creating like a reading group, right? Where people would be assigned different readings. They would be responsible for reading that particular reading and providing a synopsis or a summary of what was read. And we put it in a Word document, in Google Docs. We put it in Google Docs where it was easily accessible by everyone. And I want to say that that was a really, 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 really beneficial kind of way to combat like reading 300 pages. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but like reading a lot in a short amount of time, and then being able to balance, your practicum now work and the actual assignments when they were due, right? So the readings are still crazy, but if you come up with a strategy with some of your peers to divvy up some of the readings, it makes it a whole lot easier. The second thing that I wanted to talk about was the assignments. So the assignments in this particular term, there weren't as many. A lot of them were worth a huge chunk of your mark. Like in my individuals and families course, there were 2 assignments. There was one paper that was worth, I think, 55% of the final grade. And then there was a group assignment that was worth 45%. Now, if you're not a group assignment person, let me tell you something. In this particular program, that's all you're going to be doing is working in group settings. So get used to it. I noticed that there was a lot more group work this term than there was last term.
I think I only had, maybe there were one or two. Maybe there were 1 or 2.
But in this particular term, every single course had at least one group assignment. My communities and organizations class, in terms of the assignments there, one was a group assignment. The other 2 were papers, right? So individual papers. And then the research assignment, and then in the research course, when I saw that there was a research course, I almost shit myself because I don't do research. I don't do numbers. I don't do like quantitative data type analysis type stuff. So I was really like taken aback. It just brought me back to like my undergraduate degree where
I
struggled with quantitative data. I despise it. So I was literally besides myself when I saw that this was one of the program requirements. And I just crossed my fingers and said a little prayer and said, God, please just see me through this. See me through this, because you know this is not my, forte. But what I can say to you guys is that particular course was great. I had an amazing professor that made research fun. He made it relatable, and it wasn't so numbers driven as I thought it was. It was a good balance between quantitative data and qualitative data, and qualitative research and quantitative research, and how all of that lends itself to the work that we do with our clients, right? Like if you're meeting with a client and they describe to you what their challenges are, you then as a social worker have to take that information back, do research to find what clinical interventions might be suitable for your client, right? And you have to be familiar with, qualitative data and what to look for, and quantitative data and what to look for that way. So it wasn't a course specifically designed to like have you calculate any numbers, which is what I thought it was going to be. It was more so a course for you to understand the differences between qualitative research and quantitative research, and just how to apply them in social work, right? Because social work, like I said, includes you finding some viable solutions for your client. Also, as it relates to that research course, I think that out of all of the classes I took this term, that one was the most assignment heavy. 2 group assignments, there were 10 quizzes, but my prof was really cool and he allowed for us to drop 2 of our lowest quiz scores to go towards our final grade. So instead of 10 quiz scores, only 8 would go towards your final grade. And then we had like individual assignments that were critical appraisals, like rigorous critical appraisals. Now, this was my particular experience that I'm about to share with you guys. But some people might have loved it. Some people are really research heavy and they really love that type of stuff. I, for one, do not. Like I just told y'all, I'm not in the research game. I hate it. But these particular individual assignments were really, 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 really eye-opening, because I think oftentimes people just go online, they Google things, they pull it up, and they just read it for what it is, and they take that to be factual. Everybody in grad school understands that the research articles that you use to back your your stance on a particular issue, right, when you're writing a paper, has to be grounded in empirical data, has to be grounded in like research that can be vetted for, can be vouched for, right? So peer-reviewed journals and scholarly articles, those are the things that you can use in your paper, right? No surprise there. But I don't think that people actually understand the importance of vetting the articles that you are actually using in your research. And so two of the assignments, one was qualitative, one was quantitative, where in this particular research course, we were responsible for critically appraising these articles, right? And so critical appraisals are pretty much a process for you to vet the validity, the reliability of the papers that you have in front of you as it applies to maybe your client, right? So again, back to the example, you're with a client, they're telling you what their challenges are. As a social worker, you then take that information and you go and you do your research about what the client is telling you, right? And in doing the research, you then have to find articles that you can use to help, create an intervention for the client, or some type of a plan to help them through their stuff, right? And like I'm saying, I don't think a lot of people understand the importance of vetting the article. And that's what these critical appraisals do for you, right? You go in and you literally check off certain things that an article should have to make it more valid or make it more reliable as it relates to your client, right? And there's different things that you look for in both critical appraisals for a quantitative research kind of article that you pulled up, or a qualitative. Did I say quantitative or qualitative? You know what I'm trying to say, right? One of each. But it was a very tedious assignment Very tedious assignment. I didn't necessarily enjoy it because it took up a lot of my time. It took up a lot of time. This isn't to scare you. This is just to give you some perspective as to what to expect. This was my particular experience with this research course. I had an amazing professor. He made it all the more easy to digest the information and made research fun. He definitely added his personality to it, and I think that's really what kept our course, or our class rather, going. As far as the lectures go, the lectures are, what you can expect, right? Especially because we're doing everything virtually now. It makes it a little bit tricky because, of course, the human interaction isn't there, but I think the professors that I had were great. They navigated it very well, and they delivered the information that needed to be delivered, right? And they made it very accessible. They allowed for us to, obviously you can take notes, but they also posted the lecture slides. They posted the available videos or case simulations, and they made the learning experience the best that it could possibly be given the circumstances, right? The only downside I want to say to a lot of the material throughout both terms is the fact that the simulations did not include diversity. There wasn't, right? It's your typical white therapist with a white client, or a white therapist with a white family, a white therapist with a white couple. Like, there wasn't much diversity, and I think that's one of the biggest downfalls, because at the end of the day, those particular individual experiences as a social worker or counselor or therapist, or however you want to, describe yourself once you get your degree, as someone who is in the helping profession, especially if you want to work with a particular population, it would be nice to see how those interactions are in our case simulations, right? It's not reflective that way. And truth of the matter is that a lot of, mental health type stuff and counseling in general, although they exist, we also understand that, there are certain stigmas that certain communities have about mental health, and therefore maybe the access to mental health is lacking for some people of various communities, and maybe that's why there aren't that many simulations. But all in all, I think there definitely needs to be a better job of the representation that way when we're teaching this content to diverse students and future practitioners, right? I think that's the only downside to a lot of the material that I found this year. But hopefully they'll work on that and kind of get that going. And the last thing that I wanted to share with you guys was the Practicum Experience. I'm not sure yet, but I might make a video about the Practicum process that U of T has. But what I can say about the Practicum Experience thus far is that it was a great experience for me. I was able to pick a placement of my choosing. And I think a lot of the flexibility that U of T's provided has to be a result, or is rather a result, of COVID. It's made it very interesting in terms of how people are assigned their practicum. So I opted to do my practicum with a non-for-profit organization, and I had an opportunity to build on my clinical skill set, working with individuals and their families, providing counseling. It was great. It was a great experience. I actually finish my hours next week. So that has also contributed to the fact that I couldn't really get on here and make these videos for you guys, because I'm still doing stuff. So it makes it so difficult. But the process has been fun. It's been really fun. I feel like I've learned a lot. And I feel like, next year when we, do our placement or our practicum for the full year, that's really where I'll start to really see, kind of how theory really applies in practice, or doesn't, because we know that it's not always so easy peasy. And so, yeah, I thought it was a great experience. Actually, you know what? I think I will make a video. I think I will make a video about the practicum experience, because I think there might be a little bit more information that I might be able to cover that way, and provide something that's a little bit more, comprehensive. And if you guys have specific questions about that process or what that was like for me, then you guys could ask questions in that video. But this video was just like an overview of how this second term went, in conjunction with the previous video that I made, you know what I'm saying, talking about the first term. But all in all, my first year as an MSW student, has been good. It's been a really good experience. I don't have you know, any real qualms with what I've experienced so far. Everything's been great. The people have been great. The professors have been great. Everything's been really good, given the fact that we are in a pandemic right now still. And personally, I don't see us going back in the fall, or at least I'm not gonna set myself up for failure, because in Ontario, as you guys know, it's been like a roller coaster of emotions. Like, we're open one day, we're closed the next, that I don't even know. Okay, that's a whole nother video as well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and end this video right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything that I might be able to help you with, leave me a comment in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.